Let's talk rumours.
Doctor Who ones or Jason-based ones?
Go, no, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who.
Hello, welcome to a Talking About special where we are going to be talking rumours. Yeah, stuff that's probably not true, but we can speculate on for hours. That sounds exciting, doesn't it? It sounds very exciting. The specific rumouring that we're looking at right now is an article which is run in the Daily Mirror, or the Mirror, whatever we're calling it these days, about missing episodes being animated and colorized. Ooh. See, I don't know whether these oohs are getting any better here. Ooh. And now turns Catherine Shell. Okay, so let's start. Do we believe in life after love? No. Do we believe that we've got a bit of smugglering and Underwater Menace coming on the animation?
Well, I'll tell you what the first thing for me here is that I remember the Mirror some years back proclaiming very loudly at the beginning of its page there, 97 or 100 missing episodes returned back to the archive. For me, I think the Daily Mirror lost a little bit of credibility there because we all know that the Omni Shambles never came to fruition in the end.
Oh, do we, Jason? It said 97 episodes discovered. It didn't say they'd been returned.
You know, I mean, I'm sure they're tucked away somewhere in the vaults at TIEA. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? We'll never know, I don't think. But the reality of it is that the Mirror is very, very quick, I think, to get onto these sort of clickbaity type stories of there's this, there's this, there's this. And they're clearly being informed of things. And some of it, from what I understand, has been true in the past. But for me, I always believed that there would be some sort of animations coming back. So to have a sort of a story around it doesn't surprise me in particular. And I think for me, the feel of the colorization of a particular story or stories, it's got some credence if you look at what we're about to have, where we've got some Hancock episodes from the 1960s that have been colorized and will be released for general viewing on UK Gold, I think it is. But I don't know, this feels too neatly packed for me, and it's got a little bit too many specifics in there, and I'm not really buying into it totally at this stage.
You like things that are less specific as a rumor, then?
You know, I think they've been very specific that it's 2 parts of the Underwater Menace and it's 4 parts of the Smugglers, and they're going to do.
No, the article says that there are 2 episodes of the Underwater Menace that already exist. It doesn't say that they're animating the other 2 parts. It says that they're animating the 2 stories, but the 2 episodes of the Underwater Menace already exist.
But I mean, for me, the credence here is the Crusade was, obviously we've got 2 episodes and there are 2 missing. And the rationale and the reason behind not animating the Crusade was because there were probably too many characters or whatever the reason was given for it. But animating 2 episodes, they said probably wasn't worthwhile doing. You could see them animating something like Wheel in Space because you've got more of that missing than you have episodes, or doing a completely missing story. Those things make great sense. I just don't understand why so quickly after the decision being made on Crusade, they're then changing their mind and saying that they would have Underwater Menace that would come out as 2 episodes in this way. I don't know. But I am taking some of it with a pinch of salt at this stage.
And wouldn't this leave the Highlander as the only, missing story left if they were to do these bits? Because they're season 4, aren't they? The same season. And I was reading that would mean that the only story that wasn't then animated would be Jamie's first story, The Highlander, which again is I find it a really odd choice. Firstly, I think given how long the animations have taken, it seems really, you would expect that they would be underway by now before they would announce to say that they're going to be ready for the 60th, because it's a very short span in order to do an animation. So I'm not quite sure that is the case. Whether or not they're going to announce that they are going to start the animations again and BBC will announce that on the build up to the 60th, I don't know. I think it's just a very weird thing to announce now, to say, oh, this is going to be out by the 60th, but some of the animations have taken years to do. And if they're going to do a 4-parter, you know, that is going to take a long time. I can't see how they're going to get it done so quickly. I think the colorization, absolutely, and you know, that is totally possible because that's being done already, like you say, with Hancock. It's been done for several other things as well. So I can't see that is, you know, impossible. And I think that would be lovely to have, you know, Unearthly Child as a colorized version shown, you know, as a anniversary special. But the sort of speed in which this was picked up by loads of other different clickbait sites, and there doesn't seem to be any backup from it at the moment. There doesn't seem to be anyone sort of coming out from the BBC or anywhere else saying, yeah, this is true. I do wonder whether it's just wild speculation at the moment.
You are correct in what you say, James, that if this was correct news, then it would just leave the Highlanders for season 4. And that would also mean that season 1 would only have Marco Polo, season 2 would only have Crusade, skip 3 for a moment, 4 would be Highlanders, 5 would be Wheel in Space, and 6 would be Space Pirates. So it would only be one from each season to finish. And obviously 3 is the big difficult one because there's so much to do there. But yeah, it's interesting that if this does go ahead, what you mentioned earlier about, you were curious as to why they've chosen the Smugglers over the Highlanders. I know there was talk a while ago about them not animating the Highlanders just yet because they said all this problem with because everyone's wearing kilts, a lot of people wearing kilts, and so the patterning of the tartan is apparently very difficult to animate. I don't know whether that's correct or not, or whether things have moved on since then. This was one of the reasons why they said that the Crusade is one of the most difficult things if they did animate it, because there's so many characters and there's lots of different intricate clothing and there's lots of different locations featured in it. So I think maybe they're going on to, I think something like the Smugglers, there's a very small cast in that, and also there's probably not a lot of very tricky locations to go and animate. You know, they've got like the ship, the church, the beach. There's no, it's fairly straightforward. And of course, obviously, we already have Ben, Polly, and Jamie, facial things done for them previously in previous animations. So it's not like they have to start again scratch with the new companions. So yeah, so it's possible.
It's also possible that if it's leaked now, that it might have been something people have been working on for some time, because there's an assumption that the others finished and then that was it. There's nothing to say what arm of what was commissioned. It's a slightly strange thing, isn't it? Because people say the BBC commissioned this. The BBC is so many departments, elements, and you know, one part of the BBC could be into one other part. You know, it's nothing to say that the people commissioning the last animations would be the ones commissioning these animations. So it could be done. We don't know, because I think it's just assumed that because a lot of the people involved in the previous animations are not high, you know, they're in the fan circles, aren't they? So they're going to discuss things in fan circles. There's nothing to say that if you commissioned a completely independent animator, they would even consider sort of saying, by the way, we're doing this one, we're not doing this one, we're doing this one, because it just wouldn't be their sphere to be doing that. I mean, it could just be Bumpkin, but it seems that terribly specific to pick those two, rather than just saying they're animating Doctor Who stories ready for the thing, to say specifically these two. And I guess the Underwater Menace, you could probably have quite a bit of fun, because you could make the fish people look a bit more fishy. You could probably have make them look quite good. You wouldn't have to have the Kirby wires and you could all that, and it'd look quite fun. And if you were releasing that as a DVD, you could soup it up a bit, couldn't you? Because you got the original DVD extras, and you could add some more to it, and you'd have the 4 episodes of animation, the 2 episodes of live action, and it'd be a bit more of a thing, maybe.
I mean, the way I look at this is, you're right, it is very specific. We are not aware of it being an official press release by whoever is responsible for any of these animations. And I think, as I said, we've been down this path with the Mirror a few times, or these sort of stories. Who are they listening to for that news? Is it an official release? Is it just somebody that's one of their informants that get paid by the article, or that kind of thing, that has released this? You just don't know who's feeding that to for the Mirror to release that story and be as specific as that. Because I agree with you, it's very specific. It almost feels too specific for my liking.
But it's not. I mean, obviously it's not an official statement, because an official statement would go out on the .TV website and it'd be an official thingy. But they've been correct on other animations, Galaxy 4, on a lot of the other stuff that they have run as an article. I don't think the Daily Mirror, if they wanted to get a huge amount of clickbait, they'd probably be quicker saying something about Gemma Collins doing something, or what. I think there are probably easier routes to a clickbait. You could have something from Love Island doing something unpleasant, and I think you'd have. Whereas to be like, right, so the Mythmaker's audio has been enhanced by the, let's do an article on that. It's like, it's not really something the Mirror would want. So they must be fairly confident in where they're at with it. I'd say the colorization thing, I think, is a fair shoe-in, because it's a very, because they've experimented obviously with things that are restoring color, and then the Hancock stuff is completely colorized, and techniques are coming on leaps and bounds. I mean, quite often on Twitter, I see fans who have colorized stuff, and it's incredible. I think, crikey, well, if you can do that just at home in your spare time, just painting in the odd scene, if you're paid to do that for 12 months, then you must be able to do something pretty impressive. So I would imagine, going on a limb, I would imagine they'd probably do An Unearthly Child. I don't know if they'd do the whole story. I could imagine doing the first episode because it's an iconic episode, but I don't know whether you'd want to have the whole of the first. Maybe they'd do select episodes, or I don't know. I mean, would you rather see individual episodes done, highlight episodes, or would you rather see a full story?
I want to see them do the pilot by accident.
I want both versions. I want the full studio recording or nothing.
I mean, how many times have you started watching it going, I don't remember this scene where he trips. Oh, I'm watching the pilot.
Actually, door banging behind.
Actually, colorizing the first episode of the Unearthly Child would be quite easy, because half the episode's on a white set.
I think there is. I think if the one thing I would take away from the sort of rumors at the moment is that there is the appetite to animate the rest of the missing episodes, whether they're happening now or whether they happen in the future. I think the news that the funding had stopped for the current run of animations was actually quite sad, because for not all the animations were necessarily perfect, but it was great to have those stories available to you to be able to watch in that format. And I think there's a part of me that would like to have all of those missing episodes animated in some form and returned, but it just gives me a glimmer of hope that will happen. But it might be that we've got different companies that come on board. We've got the fact that all of the classic episodes are also going to be moving across. Disney are going to be showing the full collection outside of the UK. So there's lots of things that are happening behind the scenes over this year around the franchise and how it's repositioning itself, but especially globally. So I would imagine that there would be a desire to fill in those blanks as new audiences are being introduced to them.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate, the colorization thing, because as you say earlier, Paul, those really talented fans who put little sort of snippets, like 30-second colorized bits from the war games, and the Romans, I think, was one of the most recent ones we had. And of course, there's a guy who's been doing little bits of Invasion of the Dinosaurs over the years, and it looks so impressive compared to, you know, what we got, the very poor one that we got on the DVD release. So there's hope, obviously, that we'll have a really nice looking one when the Blu-ray of season 11 comes out. But the whole point about the colorizations is that it's nice, but of course I have read a lot of stuff on Twitter and various things where people are like, oh, sacrilege, no, Doctor Who that was black and white, and by colorizing them it's wrong, it's, you know, you shouldn't do it. I mean, that's what I mean. There's because a lot of I don't know if you remember or if you've ever seen any of those old sort of like Hollywood films where years ago, I think back in the 80s or something, they colorized some of them, and there was a massive big hoo-ha about it, saying no, you shouldn't do this. I mean, just like last week I watched It's a Wonderful Life on Blu-ray, and I love that film, but I always watch the black and white version. It does actually have a color version on there that you can watch, but just playing a bit of it and just it just doesn't look right. There's just something about it where it works so much better in black and white, and I mean, that's how it was made. But they do offer the color version if you're curious to watch it, but I just don't think that would work. But then with something like Doctor Who, it might work. It's a curio thing, isn't it? Because as you say, they're not going to do the whole lot, because colorizing things, you can't just go press a few buttons and you're done. You know, it takes a long time to do these things. So I can imagine it'll just be, you know, one episode here or there, just to say, look, this is what we can do, and, you know, perhaps something for the future. But I don't think people will be very happy if they go, oh, now let's do all of this all over again, because that's not how.
The point is, though, Ben, is that absolutely they can step out and start to do some colorization on these. And actually, kudos to the folks you've called them out. You know, kudos to the guys who've been doing this, and it's painstaking. And you see some of these, and they are glorious in the way that they're presented. And I am per se not against colorization of black and white episodes here. In fact, I'm actually kind of looking forward to what they've done with the Hancock half-hour type stuff when that does get released, because that'll give us an indication, I think, as to how far commercial colorization has gone for television, archive television in this way. But we as fans have still got that ability to go, as we do with our animations, to go, okay, well, there's a spanking new color version, fantastic. All 4 episodes of Unearthly Child, amazing. But there's 4 episodes that's still presented in black and white. We have that choice. You say your choice is to watch A Wonderful World or whatever it is in that color, in black and white, not in color. You choose that. I would choose to watch black and white because that's how I've grown up watching them. I would watch the color ones because I would be interested to see what they've done with them, and I would want to appreciate the artistry that's gone into it. But for me, 60s television, black and white, that's what I've got a passion for. It's nice to have. I think it's a nice thing to do for the 60th and beyond. And ultimately, you know, if this is a success, you could see them re-releasing all of the 1960s stories and re-monetizing it once again in the same way as they've done with VHS to DVD to Blu-ray. The next thing will be, let's have all the color versions of it. I can see where the money side of it's going, but we still have a choice as fans whether to watch black and white or color.
I think there's a world of difference between, and you can shoot me down for this if you'd like to, TV's Doctor Who, which was quite cheaply made week in, week out, and a film that was shot in black and white. Insofar as The Third Man, if you colorize The Third Man, I would have to bitch slap you, because the whole point is that is why it's shot. It is shot. You've got, the director has chosen the shadowing. It's shot in black and white, and that's the skill set that has gone into that. I'm not sure. I could say that the Reign of Terror or something, there's something on the shadowing on this is we're shooting in black and white, right? So they've gone, okay, cameras 2 hasn't crossed with camera 3, great, it's all in focus. So I don't know, and you can shoot me down this, whether a lot of the Doctor Who 60 stuff is high art that it's an abomination to say let's color it. My personal preference would be it was shot in black and white. I think that's part of the charm of these things, that they're in black and white, and that might be my go-to. But I wouldn't be offended by a color version. I'd watch it and go, it's interesting to see it in color. It's not how it was made. It's probably not going to be for me. But I'd see it as a curio because I've seen the black and white one 100 times over. So I think it depends whether you like, don't do this, it's outrageous, or actually it's what it is. And I think it does basically boil down to Doctor Who makes a lot of money. Doctor Who makes a lot more money than Hancock. I mean, it's kind of, you can't even. So, of course, if you can afford to do Hancock in colour, you're going to do Doctor in colour because it will make you more money back, and they need more product. They need a special edition of this. They need a DVD set. They need to add this to a box set of this. It's just, how do you keep packaging it? Because you're not making essentially new 60s Doctor Who, new 70s Doctor Who. How do you reformat it to sell it out to that market? And I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be an interesting thing to see, because I say the clips which you've all seen on Twitter are really well done, and I think sometimes you look and think, oh, that's actually quite interesting. That's nice to see. But it's nobody's asking you to replace it, are they? It's an alternative track, isn't it? It's like a commentary, isn't it? It's just a different take on it. But it'd be interesting to see. I think we have come on leaps and bounds from those sort of Ben mentioned those sort of 80s sort of colorizing, except there are some on the Avengers sets, aren't there, where they try colorizing season 4, and it's kind of a bit, yeah. But then again, I'd still come down the Avengers. I mean, again, shoot me down, but I think the Avengers, because it was shot on film, it's made in the black and white. There's more to it. It's shot properly on film with thought on the lighting a bit more than a studio setup for Doctor Who. Turn it all into colour. Sell them all on. Don't mind.
Ditch all the black and white. Ditch them and only have the colour versions. That's all we ever get ever again.
Although someone did say, and I'm not stoking the rumours here, they did say that the Smugglers wasn't an animation. Actual thing.
Oh, who have you been talking to, I wonder?
I don't talk to anyone. I live in an ivory tower and speak not to anyone. I sometimes throw a penny to the postman out the window to thank him for his toils, but I don't speak to anyone.
Now, while we're talking rumours, because we mentioned rumours and so forth, while we're talking that, we may as well mention that I'm sure everyone has been reading about these tapes that were found in a person's collection in Australia, who has hundreds and hundreds of different VHS and all sorts of formats and films and things like that. So someone has posited the fact that actually he started taping, I think they said he started taping from about early 1970s, the 70s or something like that. Now, also someone has put out the fact that, oh, well, actually season 6, like the Invasion and Space Pirates, actually went out around those dates that he may have taped. So, and as the person hasn't gone through everything yet, is that something that we can think, oh, there's a little chance that maybe he might have taped the Invasion and the Space?
I thought the family had thrown quite a lot of it away before.
A lot of the early stuff was sent to Skip before Aaron got there, actually.
Yeah, they have. But apparently some stuff was transferred before it was jumped, apparently, onto other formats. So,
yeah, I think they said the earliest recording they've got is from 72, I think, and they said it started, Doctor Who would have been, season 6 would have been 77. So they're fairly confident that there's a chance of the Space Pirates, but there could be a chance of the Invasion because of the dates. And they have recovered recordings from the time, but it's going to take about 10 years for the university to go through what they've got.
Yeah, that's the only problem.
I know a man who could get across there and get through that lot like a dose of salts. What do you reckon?
I think there's more covers than even Ben could go through over there. The broader, I don't know how far anyone's looked or followed the post on this. The guy's house, it's an incredible. I mean, he didn't throw anything out. I mean, we're not just talking. So he had the recordings, and he did backups of the recordings and backups of the backups. But he's got the carrier bags and the food cartons, and it's just every day of that man's life is just piled. It's almost sort of inconceivable how much stuff there is. So I know initially, I think Ben, you mentioned it at one of our events, and I was like, no, I don't know what this is, and I sort of had a look, and it's just like, crikey. So what you go, oh, of course someone's going to be taping Doctor Who 1972, of course they are. But then you look at what he was doing, and he was literally everything. I mean, he was listing everything. It was a proper, it's an illness in a lot of ways. The way he lived his life, sort of, keeping everything. So he couldn't let anything go. And he's got Doctor Who records and stuff, and they're all shrink wrapped because he just had them and shrink wrapped because he has to keep everything. And it's quite a story in itself.
Mm.
It did lead me to the ABBA advert, which I thought was hilarious. You'll know more about what they were advertising. It's just like buying national products, and they adjusted the lyrics for one of their songs to match the advert. And that's incredible. I thought they weren't afraid to take the cash in those days. Now they'd just make you queue for a fake version, wouldn't they?
Absolutely, yeah. It's crazy. It's. I mean, the fact that he's just done all this, and the fact that also someone has actually come along and found this. I mean, that's the thing. We all sort of grasp onto this little bit of hope now, don't we? The fact that if every station in the world has all been checked, that now our only chance of anything coming up is in private collections or what people have in their attics. And there was always that little bit of hope that someone might have something up in their attic and not be discovered. But then the worst thing you think, oh no, if someone dies and they never tell anyone about it, and then the cleaners come in, what's this old fury from no one wants that in the bin. You think, we'll never know, will we?
I'm waiting for the announcement that we've looked through the tapes. He did record the Space Pirates on repeat, and episode 2's back.
Episode 2, exactly. That'll be our luck, won't it? To be honest, I mean, it is interesting, and you know what? I think as fines go, this is probably one that will give some hope that if he was recording off the television and Space Pirates and Invasion were shown as late as they were in Australia, he would have been. There is a chance he would have recorded one or more episodes of them both, and therefore there is a chance we get them. And anything back that's live material rather than sort of animation and that kind of thing, for me, would be an improvement over what we've got now with the telesnap. So I keep my fingers crossed and hope for it.
Yeah.
And someone sat there with a video, pops it in, the Doctor Who credits start, and then it sort of goes all crackly and fades out to young doctors.
Yeah, you get the glimpse of Space Pirates.
You get the glimpse
episode 3.
You mentioned about and what if it's episode 2? That did actually happen. A few years ago, I think it was Steve Roberts or Paul Venezes was contacted by someone who said that there was some guy who, again, maybe died or something or other like that, but he had been recording stuff from a very long time ago, and they found that he'd kept a recording, and the only recording he kept was the Space Pirates Part 2.
Yeah, he had a tape with Evil of the Daleks written on it, and he taped the Foresight saga over it, hadn't he?
Yes, that's him. That's the guy. Yes. And the only thing that he did kept was Space Pirates Part 2. And they said it wasn't like it was off of the the BBC video or anything like that. It was an actual recording, like a very poor quality recording, and it was actually kept as a recording. But why he decided to keep that one episode and not any others is like,
that episode was destined to stay with us forever.
So near yet so far.
Yeah, I think it's the anniversary year. I think I'd like to think that this time next year, as in 2024, I think we'll have had something back by then.
We'll be doing a video about it.
We'll do it as soon as it happens, as soon as the news breaks. We'll watch it when it's iTunes ready at midnight and straight on to the 4 o'clock recording to the reaction.
In the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, doing the recording.
The funny thing is actually when I mean, it's a vague dive, but when Enemy and Web came back and it went live it did go live at like midnight. You could download it and more. We watched an episode. I think we did. Yeah, we did an episode. We didn't just wolf the 12 of them down. We were very refined here.
Very reserved.
Yeah. I mean, if it were Galaxy 4, I'd probably wait till the morning and download it. I'd wait for a sale on Amazon and see when the new video went cheap.
Yeah, our review would come about 4 weeks after.
Now, I think you know, I think we'll get something this show.
Yeah. It'll be another nice save for the anniversary present, hopefully.
Right, that's enough rumouring. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey. I got it.
Ben's cheering because he kept the camera for longer.
Jason's spell is broken at last.
That is chaos. That was just sheer chaos there.
He's like the what's it now? He's like the Power Rangers. That woman goes.
It's like the Crossroads end credits. This, isn't it?
Don't be stunned on Crossroads. On the subject of Space Pirates, we've had quite a long run of Michael Hart episodes. Yeah, they like this director that made Space Pirates so pacey. Bring him out to Birmingham. We want some of that.
Let's have him. Not long before the new box set's available either.
No, with some beautiful missing things on it. Maybe we need to do a talking about Crossroads, Meg. Anyway, no.
Oh, no, that would be amazing. I'd be in for that.
Anyway, lovely to hear you all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share us, and put your thoughts about all this. And if you know, or if you've got a missing episode, message us. We'd love to see it. Bye.